Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for Star Trek Discovery Season 4, and joining me this season, Jessie. Welcome to GSU.
Yes, hi, I'm so excited to be here. It's nice. It's kind of weirdly surreal, to be honest, because I have my own YouTube channel where I discuss Star Trek and stuff, and I also watched all of your stuff for Star Trek Discovery. So it's been kind of like, oh, I'm making the parasocial social now. So,
Welcome aboard.
each week, we're going to be breaking down the best references and Easter eggs, also discussing what we loved and sometimes didn't love about the episode.
Now, of course, the big elephant in the room is what's going on with Netflix and our international viewers out there, and how you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to watch this. We're so sorry, but again, I want to make sure to tell everyone there are spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back here. Now let's break it down.
We still love you.
We're going to kick things off with things we noticed and Easter eggs.
I don't like to lose.
Then you never faced that situation. Faced death.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This episode, and possibly the entire season, is based on the classic Trek no-win scenario. This is the central concept behind the Kobayashi Maru test, the famous training exercise featured in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and the 2009 reboot movie. At the end of the episode, Burnham finds herself in a similar situation as Kirk. She may have saved her crew, but she wasn't able to save Book's family this time around, as Book's home planet Quajon is torn apart by an unexplained gravitational anomaly.
They're gone.
Moving forward, the USS Discovery and the Federation will need to focus on figuring out what to do about this mammoth unknown enemy. Starfleet honors Captain Jonathan Archer of the USS Enterprise NX-01. The reveal of the new bridge is accompanied by the classic Enterprise fanfare reworked by composer Jeff Russo. The .23 bots are back, and you should see them peppered around each and every episode. And these are updated versions of the worker robot .7s. The Ba'ul, native to the planet Kaminar, and the former foes of the Kelpians make a quick cameo in the episode. Now, the Ba'ul were originally the prey species to the Kelpians before they managed to stop the Kelpians' evolutionary process of Vahari and soon became their predators. Here, with Saru and Sakal, it seems they are all finally working together. And of course, we get a Tribble in the hallway.
First, find Cyrano Jones, and second, close that door.
Alright, let's go straight into our review of this episode now, Jessie. I'll start things off. I'm enjoying the season so far. It's definitely not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but it just feels like they actually have an adventurous, joyful percolation that's extremely reminiscent of TOS. At times.
Yeah,
At
it's
times.
it's early TOS. Yeah.
This season was, of course, shot during the ongoing pandemic, and the writers and showrunners took heavy inspiration from it. And this season, our Discovery crew is dealing with something that we all had to go through the past few years and months: uncertainty. There's a massive, unpredictable threat hurling towards Burnham and her crew, and I hope this season really focuses on the characters' experiences and relationships in this new timeline. Now, with that said, please don't forget the show should be fun, and that's what Michelle Paradise keeps telling everyone too, after the first episode.
Gasp, a show? Fun? What? No. In my sci-fi adventure series, never. I don't want
Absolutely
that, Greg.
not.
No.
Now, last season, I believe the series started to finally find its voice. Sure enough, Season 4 already feels 100% Star Trek from top to bottom, while references to the past and Easter eggs will always be there. Cue the Enterprise theme! This never felt like the references were used as a crutch. The characters and straightforward missions come first.
So I pretty much agree with you on all of those fronts. I feel like this season has a sense of confidence that previous seasons haven't had, with them trying out a bunch of different things and trying to go up to the bat and sometimes hitting it out of the park and sometimes completely whiffing it. This premiere very much feels like, okay, we figured out what this show is and what we want these characters to be. The show feels like it's hit a real groove in terms of balancing plot, characters, and action, and the actors also feel really settled into their characters, particularly, I think, Burnham, Adira, and Saru. Even further, this season feels like it's attempting to directly confront not only prescient political issues, considering this season seems to be about a federation who has failed its citizens and the universe by trying to make up for the pain it has caused, even while knowing it's not able to sometimes, but also, interestingly, dissecting Star Trek themes and tropes, such as the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And while it's a bit repetitive to delve into the whole Burnham carries the weight of the world on her shoulders beat, it's certainly one with like a lot of relevant thematic ground. But at the end of the day, while I have some concerns about the entire season structure, given that we have like another end of the universe stakes and another potentially, possibly, maybe mystery box storytelling, I overall am really positive on this premiere. It has that sense of fun and confidence and a joy in exploring and in being around others and finding community around others that I think Star Trek has always needed to have.
Yeah, even with such a just a heartbreaking ending, it still feels like they're gonna try to have some fun here, even though you're left literally with a planet gone. You know, Qui-Gon. Yes, it's the joke's there, but still, it's.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that. That's so awful. I was just about to say, though, it can't be Star Trek Discovery unless our characters have some form of trauma. It's like, everyone needs to have trauma. Everyone needs to be really upset about something. It's not Discovery without it. I'd be scared if it didn't.
All right, Jesse, let's fireside chat this thing real quick. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and any questions we have moving forward. Starting off with the good, for me, the craft. I really liked, honestly, the edit. I thought was great. The score, Russo hasn't missed at all when it comes to the score.
No,
for
he is
show.
Gorgeous. The opening bits, like when they're going down to the planet, like were just like very evocative of TOS for me. And I was like, oh, I love this. Like creepy and mysterious. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Sonequa Martin-Green and David Ajala, their chemistry is spot on. It's amazing. I love them together. Using them as the driving force to moving forward, what happens with Qui-Gon at the end, and having Booker have this moment where I feel like he's definitely going to go down this Philip K. Dick-esque psychological horrors that are going to happen to him a little bit. I can feel that coming. Look, I'm not a fan of the big, beam in the sky. We got to stop this giant thing. It's going to destroy and wipe out the planet every single season. But having it start off with Book and Qui-Gon was a good way to kick this off.
What I like about this sort of big end of the universe stakes storyline, even though I don't particularly like those storylines either, I think they often kind of make it feel like the show is just kind of a little bit inaccessible and a little bit like too distant for me to really invest in those types of storylines. But what I like here that they haven't done in previous seasons is by hooking it into Book's trauma and like his losing his family, is it feels more immediate and pressing, as opposed to like the Red Angel or the Burn even were very much like these things that weren't really connected to our characters in any specific way. And so it's nice to sort of be like, okay, we have an actual character that we can hook into feeling the impact of this. And also, I just want to say, I agree with you. Every single time Burnham and Book are on screen, I'm like, I can feel it. Like it's like miles away from Burnham and Ash Tyler, who felt like they were just like talking past each other every time they had a scene.
And then, of course, Doug Jones, honestly, it's just like you just told me a second ago, it's a reality check every time he shows up on screen as Saru. That scene with the council in underground, this again...
The Gungan Council.
Star Wars.
Just looked like,
yeah. First viewing, I was like, I really don't care too much to go back and see Su'Kal and everything that's going on there, but it plays a larger role. Second and third time through this episode, I enjoy it actually a lot more, especially again Saru. What they're doing obviously is to set Saru up for something. Shortly, and possibly even Su'Kal. But overall, it's just to let everyone know about what's going on with the Federation and how they have to round everyone back up together. And it looks like Saru may have a huge hand in that.
Yeah, and I also really like in that scene how they use the Kelpian planet and the Ba'ul as like a microcosm for the Federation, that Saru calls out, like, we used to be separate people and now we were brought together. Kind of excusing the Ba'ul having done genocide for a few generations there. We'll sort of ignore that, I guess. But in terms of thematics, I like it in terms of it mirroring like a microcosm of the Federation just on Kaminar. Kaminar?
Yeah.
Yes, Kaminar.
I keep wanting to. I think they're still on Kaminar.
I keep wanting to say Kaminoans every single time because against Star Wars. This is definitely Star Trek, not Star Wars. Not leaning too hard into that comparison that I know some people want to do, but there are some similarities.
Just a side note here on Culber. Is Dr. Culber some kind of now? I know I guess he's working out, or he must be like half cyborg because
I mean,
he
have you seen
lifted
Wilson
up.
Cruz's Instagram? The man's gorgeous. Anyways.
He's built. He is built. But damn, like that scene, I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
On top of that, is he like a counselor / superhero / doctor? Like his job description just keeps expanding at this point.
Yes. Super Deanna Troy. This is what I think is going to happen. At least that's what Michelle Paradise has been telling everyone, that he's going to take a larger role when it comes to everything from mental health on this show, and with analogies towards the pandemic and healthcare workers. I feel like that's going to be a huge part of his storyline moving forward. So I can't wait to see where they go with that.
Yeah, he is like, again, Culber is just another character that's super come into his own over the past like season or so. Like really feel like they finally figured him out after, killing him once, but we'll let that slide, I guess.
And now he's a super soldier or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you come back from the dead, you might as well be a super soldier. Why not? One of the things that I will say that I really loved about this episode, and something that I've wanted Star Trek to do just in general for a really long time, is really hone in on the politics of the Federation. Like, it's actually nice to see that the Federation president is going to be supposedly a recurring character this season, because they've always been this conflation between Starfleet and the Federation. Like, oh, they're one and the same, and like, no, they're actually separate entities that do separate things, and have like separate priorities. And so I like that we're starting to see in this episode a little bit of that conflict come into play in both just the Federation president being there and actually being part of the narrative, as well as like her conflict with Burnham, which I thought was a little bit forced. I thought it was a little bit of a forced conflict between the two of them towards the end, like really like just trying to get in that theme of like the needs of the many over the needs of the few, while there was a little bit of that forced like conflict in terms of just like getting to that point. I liked that she is an antagonist, at least at this point in the season, but she's not a villain, and she actually like makes points that I'm actually kind of agreeing with her on. It's like, yeah, she's going to be a politician and talk to this guy and maybe like lie about having seen this thing to calm him down on the station, but like that's what a good politician does, is like use her ability to like speak to others and inspire others to calm down a situation. And so that might put her in conflict with Burnham from time to time, but I actually like that she makes salient points, and I like that we're just addressing the different perspectives that come with someone being from the Federation as a whole and being a civilian, as well as like the military side of Starfleet, even though the question of Starfleet as a military is a complex one that has gone on for ages, but it's definitely more military than the Federation council would be. So
we've had this last year too, where we thought, is Vance good? What's up with Vance? Everyone seems to have some weird motivation in the background, but it's just that's just how this Federation is. That's just how they're going to be, especially around Burnham. Still this season too, it seems like, again, it's another one of those, hey, Year one as captain. Now it's time to, prove yourself. We're doing the whole Kirk thing. That, like, what would Kirk not do kind of vibes.
Yeah, don't be a Kirk is like the theme of this episode, which I think is fair. I mean, there's always this sort of idea of like, do you need to be the one to go down to the planet Kirk? Like, maybe you should be like Picard and stay up on the ship there, Let Riker do the busy work. One last thing that I really will say that I deeply enjoyed about this episode is that when the Discovery like jumps to the station and they're dealing with the situation there, it at least for like 5 or 6 minutes there, it just felt like Starfleet people being competent. It's just like Burnham giving the order saying, do this, do that, we'll check this out, we'll do the sciencey wine-y stuff, get this thing's done. And it was just nice to see that, like, oh, here's this ship and crew working as like a well-oiled machine, especially under Burnham getting to be captain. So it was just a nice moment of like everyone doing their jobs perfectly, and I really enjoyed that.
Now, the one thing that I'm a little worried about is tone and pacing. Again, you end the episode, you just wiped out an entire planet, and as well as Book's family. I like most of that, and also I do like the analogies they're trying to make, of course, with COVID and the pandemic, the unpredictability. With that said, again, that all depends on how, the pacing and the tone here and how they can balance those two.
I even was just thinking, it was a bit of a tonal whiplash to go from like, hey, we're rescuing these people, we're saving them, and then all of a sudden like, here's people are dead, and then this whole planet is just destroyed, including a little kid who is gone now, and it's just like, Wow, okay. Even like evoking like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds at one point in the episode. It's like, wow, okay, it got it very, very like tonal whiplash. And I'm really hoping that they can pull this off in terms of the unstoppable force thing. I really don't want it to be like a mustache twirling villain behind the whole thing. I'm just really hoping it's not a mystery box where it's just like, oh, we'll set up these possible dangling threads of questions and then they just sort of like string us along for a few episodes, and then the finale just feels kind of disappointing and retroactively makes the rest of the season's like overall arc feel disappointing because they clearly didn't have it fully mapped out until they got near the end of the season, and that's what always frustrates me.
I suspect maybe it's an entity too. I worry that they keep getting bigger and bigger, trying to figure out what it is until they figure out, oh, it's actually alive. It's coming after. Please, no.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be down with it if they're really going for the pandemic sort of idea of it just being like, this is just a force of nature that we just have to deal with. Because that not only fits with COVID, but also ideas of like climate change and how do we handle climate change and like what's our responsibility. I know this was just a wild theory that people even had about the burn, but there's that one episode of season 7 of TNG where we learned that warp bubbles are the things that are like slowly deteriorating the galaxy. Terrible episode of TNG, but it was like a good prescient metaphor for climate change that they just completely ignored. But even in this episode, they're like talking about bringing dilithium back and starting warp bubbles. The Federation president mentions like having clean energy and like making a new like clean energy type of warp drive with the Voyager J. And so I'm hopeful like maybe they're doing a climate change metaphor and dilithium is like slowly destroying the galaxy, and that's what's causing the anomaly. That's my hope.
Yes, and everyone's got to work together. The Federation has to bring everyone back together for survival of the universe itself. You can pull me back in that way, but I just really hope it's not a big bad, Galactus is out there. We got to stop him.
If it's that, I'm right. If it ends up being that, I'm right there with you. I will be deeply disappointed and be like, and it won't ruin like the individual stories, but it'll ruin the whole arc for the season for me. It's like, what does God need with the spore drive?
Oh, okay, Jessie, I'll bite. It's a small question. It's not anything big for the future, I don't think. But Voyager J, what's going on there? What's Endgame? What are the writers planning here for this?
Yeah, I'm interested too because they seem to be setting up an arc for Burnham taking over the Voyager J at the end of the season. Like that seems to be like the trajectory that they want to have her go on, but that feels weird because the show's called Discovery. Yeah, so I don't really see that being the case. So maybe like Saru taking it over, or Tilly has that arc to become a captain, but she seems to also have stuff going on this season. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not entirely sure. The only thing I can think of is what I mentioned before, which is the possibility of this idea of like a clean energy type of thing that they're setting up with the Voyager J, and sort of setting up this idea that we need to have like non-dilithium sources of propulsion. But that's the only thing I can really think of.
We already know that the Discovery, in the far-off future, it ends up alone. Zora's alone on that ship.
That's right.
In Calypso. Yeah. Could the crew, just transition to a new ship? The Voyager, I feel I'm on the same route with you with Saru. That just seems like the obvious choice right now, for just because that Saru's going to end back up with the Federation after everything that's happening right now, and that's just the name that sticks out to me the most right now. I hope it's not. I hope it is just there's a turn on this and it's someone else entirely different. Giorgio comes back, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see where they're going with Voyager J, because it does feel like they're more and more like it's not just an Easter egg anymore. They keep hinting at it that something's happening here in the background.
You just gave me a really good idea with that. Like maybe what if the end of the season Discovery just gets sent off and it's often the Calypso short trek thing, and so Burnham and crew have to take over the Voyager J at the end of the season to go find it, and that's how the season ends. That's like the only idea I could even think of. That might be a cool way to tie those in.
But you see, the thing is, they gave themselves enough room and space in the writing and canon where they can just say, hey, this Discovery is gone. We made a new one. The next Discovery is ready, and so
Discovery
we're gonna leave this
A.
one out for. Okay. Yeah. That they can easily go that route, or they can give them Voyager. They can give them another Enterprise. I think they left themselves open to again do another switch in the tone in the show itself, how now we're in the future. What if we go back to Enterprise? Something they have those openings. But yes, I think right now, obviously from what the evidence we have in front of us, you could say maybe it's Voyager.
It'd be interesting to see if they take that. So.
All right, Jesse, that's it for us over here. I'm so excited to be working with you on this every single week. Now, it's everyone, I understand, again, because of what's going on with Netflix and the international situation happening. You can't even watch the show. So, with that said, let us know in the comments. I understand if the comment sections are going to get a little interesting today, but keep in mind, keep it civil, everyone, because we love you all and we love this show.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I'm very excited to be doing this with you. Like I said, I've been watching like you do these breakdowns for forever, so to actually be doing this with you is like a bit surreal. So thank you for letting me do this. I'm very excited to be watching this show, and for all the international viewers who can't watch it with us, I hope that you'll be able to watch it soon, and I'm excited for all of you to be able to watch it soon and join us. And I send you my love until you can, and well, even after that, I love you after that too. But it'll be worth the wait, hopefully. So, but sending you love for that.
Yar.
Yar.